Ed and Ronnie take the stage, bringing news from a different page. Truth served hot and bold and strong. Every week we sing along. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Stories that make you think and pray. A light awaits at the end of day. Guided by the stars and stripes, through the stormiest of nights. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. When the world feels like a fight, hold your ground, stand for what's right. In the truth we'll find our way. Ed and Ronnie light the way. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Together we find unity.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. I am Ronnie here on the left. There is Ed on the right. He's having a little bit of issues at the moment, trying to work them out. So while he's doing that, we're going to do something we haven't done in a while. Hey, I can hear you.
You can hear me. I can hear you. The issues
Good
are
deal.
behind us. Seemed to happen
Right.
after we prayed there.
Yeah, I know. And you specifically prayed about that too. So.
Yep. All right, but you go with what you got that we haven't done in a while.
We haven't done this in a while, so let's jump to it because we actually have something coming. All right. Yeah, we actually have something coming. We've got some snow inbound. Looks like a lot of it's going to hit south of us, but what did you hear that we're getting?
Ryan Hall, y'all said 6.7 inches, I believe is what he had.
Yeah, I've heard like it says here 3 to 8, so I guess we will see. But yeah, we've got something coming, so we will.
And if
we'll be back on Friday, so we will have more on Friday for you. I just wanted to go ahead.
Well, if we need to be live because of that, we can do that as well.
Absolutely, we will. We are here. So just wanted to share that, most Ricky Tick, and I don't know why Expedia popped up. I don't want Expedia. But so we've got a lot to cover tonight. We've got a little bit of headline news. Donald Trump was in Davos for the something. He gave a speech. He gave several speeches, as a matter of fact. Talked about Greenland, so we've got that. We do have some Senator Kennedy, which actually fits in with Greenland, him talking about Greenland. He uses the term weapons grade stupid. So we've got that to look forward to. As promised, we do have our weekly 911 call. And we've got a whole lot more. Oh, got stuff on the Clintons too. But as promised on Monday, Pastor Ed has a little bit of a take that he would like to share based on Don Lemon's, we can say it, retarded entry into the church. Now I've heard a little bit of this so far, and let me tell you, it gave me goosebumps. So Pastor Ed, I'm going to throw it to you.
Well, probably more than just a little bit. And this will be a segment of the pastor's pulpit. We talked about this earlier, and just wanted to say good evening and welcome to Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. Tonight we're going to be talking about a line that was crossed. Not on a street corner, not at a rally, but inside of a church sanctuary. In St. Paul, Minnesota, protesters entered a Sunday worship service at City's Church and disrupted prayer and preaching. Media personality Don Lemon was there, live streaming as it happened. The question is, do people have a right to protest? That's not a question, actually. That is just a statement. People have a right to protest, yes. But here is the question. Does the First Amendment give anyone the right to interrupt worship inside of a church? And the Constitution, the Justice Department, I believe scripturally, the answer to that is no. Tonight, I'm going to try my best to explain why that is the case. And the church has the right to be a sanctuary. Ronnie, if you will play clip 1, it's quite long. It's basically what happened in the church.
But first, we turn to Minnesota, where a Sunday church service turned into a shouting match. Protesters stormed the altar and accused a pastor of working with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. And now what happened inside this Minnesota church has triggered a Justice Department investigation. The disruption occurred at the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Families with children were gathered inside for prayer, but a group of anti-ICE protesters barged into the church mid-service.
Why are you not at Whipple protesting? Why are you not standing up with your Latino and Somali community right now? House of the devil. We have a duty to win.
The protesters belong to the Justice Network. Their target was the church's pastor, David Easterwood, accused of secretly working with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Specifically, they claimed he was the acting ICE field office director in Minnesota. When inside the church, protesters shouted and disrupted prayers, accusing the church of harboring someone who directs immigration raids. The story expanded into a media controversy. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon, who live streamed the incident, questioned why the disruption was receiving such intense backlash. Conservative groups immediately called out his remarks. Many said storming a church crossed a clear boundary. Meanwhile, the U.S. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division announced it was now investigating the incident. At the center of the probe is the Federal FACE Act, which protects people's right to worship. It makes it a federal crime to interfere with religious services through threats, force, or intimidation. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmeet Dillon, confirmed the investigation on X. She called the incident a potential violation of federal law and accused the protesters of desecrating a house of worship. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi also weighed in, saying she personally spoke to Pastor Easterwood, warning that the federal government would respond forcefully. The incident comes at a tense moment for Minnesota. The state has been in the spotlight for weeks now. Federal authorities have sent in additional ICE agents as part of a broader immigration enforcement.
You're still muted.
How
There you
about
go.
now?
You're-
Sound okay?
There we go. You're good.
All right, I think I would rather explain it than listen to him explain it. You want to throw that comment that's in the room there up? We're going to get to that, Bill. We're going to get to that. And I've got scripture to back that up. Don Lemon. Let's not even talk about him yet. Let's talk about the protester that was kind of leading the charge. Earlier today, I read that the group that pays him over $200,000 a year, that only gives out grants of $150,000 a year. I want to say that I was looking while he was talking there on the video to see if I could get those numbers accurately. But we've got paid protesters. And Donald Trump, in a minute, I've got a video, and he's going to address the fact that there's paid protesters. But let's look at Don Lemon for a second. Journalists have every right to report, he says. The question is whether he crossed the line. And he absolutely crossed the line. I've seen pictures of children crying because they were scared of what was going on. I'm sure that the people in there, most of them were at least concerned for their safety. I would be. And I meant to say this from the very beginning. It's Pastor Ed Boston, and I pastor two different churches, Old Union Church and the Father's House. This hits home to me very, very closely, because not only am I a pastor, but I'm a pastor who carries. And I look at that pastor and think, what if I was in that position? Now, the president even commented in his clip that we'll hear about how calm and cool that pastor was. And I have to give him credit. He was, and that was very impressive on his part. But I do have to say, would I be that calm, and would I be that easy on protesters rioters that came into my church building, the house of God? Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ established the church. Now, the church itself is just a building, but that building is sacred. In the Old Testament times, that building was guarded by temple guards. And I meant to do this part at the end, but I just think this is so good. So good. Let me get to my notes. Who were the temple guards? In Scripture, the temple guards were a recognized security force responsible for protecting the sanctity, order, and holiness of worship at the temple in Jerusalem. They were not Roman soldiers. They were Jewish officials under the authority of the high priest. In the Old Testament, in 1 Chronicles 9, it talks about they were appointed to guard the entrances by day and by night. Their role was to protect sacred space, to prevent unauthorized intrusion, to maintain reverence and order. Love the pop-up ads. They understood something very critical. And Satan, you get out of my way and let me do what I need to do. Holy Spirit, be with me as I continue in this. They understood something critical. Worship requires protection. Worship requires protection. In the New Testament, in John, it talks about the temple officers were sent to arrest Jesus, but returned empty-handed, saying, "No man has ever spoke like this man." You see, they had a job to do. Not just guard the temple, but they were at the behest of the high priest. In Acts 4, the temple guards arrested Peter and John after they preached in the temple, but not during the worship, showing even then a respect for sacred moments. They could have gone in and they could have arrested them. They could have shut them up, but they didn't because the respect of a worship service. Throughout Scripture, sacred spaces were guarded. Worship was protected. Disruption was not tolerated. And let me just say this, in the United States of America, in the year 2026, we cannot tolerate that kind of thing happening in our sanctuaries, our places of worship. We founded our country on principles that protected our right to assemble and our right to worship as we please. One of the biggest, if not the biggest reason we left England and came and formed our own country was to be able to worship in a manner that we see fit. Now, if that clip would have gone on, there is a lot of talk about whites in a white church. I can't figure out for the life of me why white liberals want to put white people down. That's who they are. They're white people. I don't know if they don't understand that, but I don't get why they think it's okay to put white people down. Actually, what they're doing is they're putting white Christians down. Ronnie, let's go with clip number 2.
All ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday. Look at it here. 24 convictions. 24 times convicted. They're not charges. These are convictions. So he comes from outside the country. Do you think he's going to be good here? He's convicted 24 times. He's going to be good here, right? It doesn't work that way. It's a man murder. It's one of many. One of many. All they want to do is get him out. They want to take him out of our country. And we're met with paid agitators and insurrectionists, troublemakers. They're paid. You know, when the woman was shot, and I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it. So loud. Like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional. She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. She's shame, shame. She's screaming shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly. But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this. All top of the line.
So there he made reference to Don Lemon. He made reference to the protesters. And let me just say this. I'm going to smack myself around if I keep using the word protesters, because they're not protesters. They're paid rioters. And Don Lemon is just as guilty as they are. He knew what they were going to do. As a matter of fact, I've seen a video of before they went in, he brought Starbucks and donuts for the rioters before they entered in. Can you imagine a journalist, an objective journalist, bringing in coffee and donuts for a group that was getting ready to make a major law infringement? Don Lemon did that. Let's look at a couple other issues. The First Amendment, it does protect free speech. It protects the free speech of that pastor in there. But it does not protect trespassing, intimidation, or disrupting people while they worship. The church, the congregation, wasn't protesting anyone. They were praying, and at the Constitution, it protects just that as much as it does free speech. You can't pick and choose what you get to follow of the United States Constitution. It's not a pick and choose. It's not, I'm going to do this and claim that it protects me, but in the next breath say, well, I'm not going to go with that one because it doesn't protect the other side. You know, liberals and hypocrisy are hand in hand. You look up the word hypocrisy in the dictionary, and there is the liberal. There is the liberal way of doing things. Terrible, terrible. The government's response is the DOJ isn't investigating speech, they're investigating conduct. Conduct that is not just unbecoming, but is illegal. And I hope that people are prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law. We have to protect our churches. I would call on and call out those who are in charge of security in the churches around the country. And if you don't have security in your church, you need to get it. Bill earlier said that would have been a bad day for them at our church. Back in the day when Amy and I attended Come As You Are Ministries, she and I think 4 others, maybe 3 others, but anyway, a security team of 4 or 5. It would have been bad if somebody had to come in and done what they did. Not only was they all armed, a good percentage of the congregation carried. And do I say that proudly? I'm not saying it braggartish. I'm just saying that the left has pushed things too far. Amy was reading something to me yesterday, talking about the rioters and their willingness to start carrying weapons. Folks, it's time. It's time. It's time to protect ourselves. Ronnie, video 3.
It cannot be overlooked that the persecution of Christians remains one of the most widespread human rights crises today, affecting over 380 million believers worldwide. They suffer high or extreme levels of discrimination, violence, and oppression because of their faith. This phenomenon impinges on approximately 1 in 7 Christians globally, and it worsened in 2025 due to ongoing conflicts, authoritarian regimes, and religious extremism. Sadly, all of this demonstrates that religious freedom is considered in many contexts more as a privilege or concession than a fundamental human right. Here I would especially call to mind the many victims of violence, including religiously motivated violence in Bangladesh, in the Sahel region, and in Nigeria, as well as those of the serious terrorist attack last June on the parish of St. Elias in Damascus. Nor do I forget the
All right, I thought it was important that if the Pope addressed that, I believe that was in his New Year's speech. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'm sure Trevor will help me with that. The Pope is addressing persecution of the church. We've been talking about this for a long time, way before Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. When we were just strictly doing prayer and share, we talked about persecuted church. We talked about Nigeria. We talked about instances. And that is what went on in St. Paul, Minnesota this past Sunday. It was persecution of the church. Ronnie, video 4.
The DOJ has put Don Lemon, quote unquote, on notice.
Don Lemon has made numerous admissions online as to his participation here and his intention and his knowledge of what was going to happen inside that sacred place. And so we're gathering the facts, and there will be action here.
So what we're finding out is that Harmeet Dillon, who is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, put out some statements yesterday as well as did some interviews. And what Harmeet Dillon is saying is that a house of worship is not a public forum for your protest. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal, criminal, and civil laws. Nor does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service. You are on notice.
You are on notice. I hope that the justice system makes it perfectly clear that in inciting riots, you guys know Don Lemon, okay? If you don't, Ronnie, clip 5.
This is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual.
So right now it's kind of mayhem. We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on them. Did they explain to you why they're here?
They did not.
They said that there is someone here in Easterwood, someone who is a member of ICE, and he's a pastor of the church.
Our church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday. We asked them to leave, and they obviously have not left.
So this is what the First Amendment is about the freedom to protest.
There's a varying array of views in this church on politics of immigration. Recognize the complexity of the issue.
This shows you just how divided America is. When you look at the protesters here, and then you look at the people there who are praying, and you know what was the interesting thing? If these two groups could just get together, they might figure out what to do.
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up. I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way.
Yeah, that was interesting to watch. This guy here, look, he's hugging his kid. And, you know, I imagine it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. They think you lost and this didn't accomplish anything, and you went into their house, the house of the Lord.
The reality is the house of the Lord is a place where love lives. It's not a place where you can have a pastor masquerading as the director for the field office of ICE in St. Paul.
Okay. Calm, Pastor Ed. Calm. You mean to tell me that that woman right there, that idiot, Don Lemon, who was pretending to be a journalist. I don't care what anybody says, he was pretending to be a journalist. He used to be a journalist. He covered things for CNN. And Ronnie and I look at ourselves as journalists, but we wouldn't get the same kind of, we wouldn't do what Don Lemon did. We just wouldn't. And that lady said the house of worship is a place of love. Now let me address for a second. I don't know if, and Ronnie, if you know this, please chip in, but I don't know if the person that they were looking for, that they said was an ICE agent, that was the head of the local ICE division, was the same person that they were looking for in the church, or if it was two different people with the same last name. And so if you know that, throw it in the comments, or Ronnie, if you know that, if it's been determined.
I don't. I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Okay, so for some reason, that information has gone away. And I want to finish. Well, first, let me give a little bit of commentary. That post that Don Lemon was just doing is from Don Lemon's website. So it was spliced. It made sure it got in the "we're not part of the protest. We're being journalists." And so I intentionally got that from Don Lemon's website. I had several choices. I wanted to get his in there.
Of course, it's one-sided.
Yeah, of course it was. In a podcast, they were interviewing him, and he said, "We live in a country where people have the right to express disagreement," because he thinks it's a good thing that they went in and that they could voice their disagreement. Amy and I have this phrase that we use. There's a long story behind it, and I won't go into the story, but somebody says something like that, and we say, "You think I'm stupid?" We're not stupid. We've just been quiet, and we've been quiet too long. Churches, protect your congregation. The gentleman that was the pastor, I don't know if he was the lead pastor or a pastor on staff. You know, some churches I read up to 8 pastors in one of the congregations that was being talked about. But he said that his job was to protect his congregation and to preserve the sanctity of their service. That is exactly right. Church leaders, get security in your church yesterday. There are many security firms that will come and they will train your security. At Come As You Are Ministries, they had a ministry, and it's a ministry called Sheepdog something or another. I should have looked that up. They will come in. They will train your security. They will give your security biblical backing for having security. We talked about temple guards. We got to guard our congregations. You know, I got to believe that knowing what God feels about the church that was formed on Jesus Christ, the foundation, that Peter was the rock of the church. I got to believe that retribution is God's next step. So church, be ready. Church, be protective. Church, be ready to go when God makes his return through Jesus Christ and comes to take his church. Be ready. But in the meantime, be protective. Ronnie, did I get all the videos in there? You come on back.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Well, I wanted to play one more and I forgot it. Grady Judd.
Oh, yeah.
He made a minute or a 2-minute video addressing that situation and said that if that had happened in his county, every person that was in that church would have been arrested. Every rioter that was in that church would have been arrested, including Don Lemon. I heard, again, I don't have this verified, that the police department there in St. Paul refused to respond to that situation. And I got to believe that that's accurate because they were in there, I've read, over 30 minutes. I think the police would have had time to respond within 30 minutes. So, Ronnie, you can finish me off here and give
I don't know. I don't know. I covered this a little bit on Monday and played some of the videos, and I had no words. I mean, there's no words to this. It's absolutely insane. And like you said, the only thing I can say is that if you have a church that doesn't have security or doesn't have somebody, at least one person keeping their eyes open during prayers, doing the tactical praying thing, and watching the door and all that kind of thing, you need to get on it. Plain and simple. It's I was saying on Monday how sad it is that it's the times we live in that we have to have some kind of security. But then Pastor Ed brought up the temple guards, and it got me thinking. This isn't a new thing. This is just a forgotten thing. It was definitely forgotten that you need to have somebody at the door. And so, if you don't, if your church doesn't, reach out. And I've got, like he said, he's a pastor who carries, and that's awesome. Every pastor needs to carry, in my opinion. Well,
let me interrupt you.
Don't need a gun.
Let me interrupt you there for a second. I belong to 2 or 3 Facebook groups for pastors, and somebody, it's been probably 2 weeks ago, asked what they thought about pastors carrying during the church service. And I thought it would be controversial, and it was by far on the side of pastors saying they carried in the pulpit.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Like I said, I think every pastor should carry, but then I retracted that because there's some pastors that I've met. No. I don't think they should. I don't think they need access to guns. But please reach out. We'll direct you in some right directions. Getting security in your church, getting somebody to stand at the door. So I actually recently, and I don't know if I told you this, I got a message from somebody on Facebook. I don't recall the name, and I didn't recall his picture or his face. And he said how much he appreciated seeing me at church and how safe he felt when I was there. Because when I was there, I was a police officer, so there were several times, like Christmas Eve, I got off a shift and went straight to church, so I was in uniform. And I said, well, what church is this? Because I was thinking it was a scam, and he said Grace Lutheran. So at one point, I had gone to Grace Lutheran. I was a member, and I was there. I carried. There was one time the week before Vacation Bible School, and some guy had gotten up and accosted the pastor as soon as he finished the sermon, and people were scared about this guy coming back or something during Vacation Bible School. So Mom and I took off of work and spent the entire week there at Vacation Bible School, armed, and made sure that this guy didn't come back. And people said they felt safe. So, I read earlier yesterday about why aren't people saying, a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun? Well, it's because of the media, and there's gun groups who work with the media who make it look like the good guy with a gun is the first one to get killed or shoots an innocent bystander or something like that. And it's not that way. It is honestly not that way. The good guy with a gun stops the bad guy with a gun. So that's all
I would want to see links to when that happened. The good guy with the gun, shooting the wrong person. You tell me when that happened and how often it happened.
I don't have the links or anything right now, but I'd like to look it up.
I don't buy that for a second, and I know you don't either.
What, that a good guy with a gun didn't stop a bad guy with a gun?
No, that a good guy with a gun shot the wrong person.
Yeah. I mean, look at that one church in Texas. The guy came in with a rifle, and the guy made a 60-yard shot, headshot, take him out.
Yep.
Elisha Dickin in the Greenwood Park Mall. I mean, his handgun, he had a Glock that he had actually been in an accident on a motorcycle, and it wore his sights down, and he made a 40-yard shot, 6 out of 8 in the kill zone. Drop that shooter. Good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun. There's 2 examples right there, and I could go on, but
sure.
37 minutes into this, and we've still got news to cover. But trust me, a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun every time. Well, at least should be.
I like the odds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many times at Old Union do we sit there and pull our guns out? So Old Union, it's the same way as come as you are. I wouldn't walk in there with a gun with bad intentions. So
yeah,
that's the first sign of deterrence. So wow, crazy stuff, crazy world we live in. But hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Take off with some news, buddy.
All right, let's get to. Did you get headline news?
I did not. I'm done.
Well,
I had one other story I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to put you on full screen and watch from a distance.
All right. Well, let me get. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let me get the right one pulled up here, and we're ready to go. If my computer will take off. Right. So, Greenland. Donald Trump was in Davos again, and he was talking about Greenland. But yesterday, let me find it. Yesterday, he had a press briefing and kind of hinted at taking it by force, but
Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important.
So that was at a press briefing yesterday. This is at Davos today.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them. Some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance, the United.
So he said that it would greatly enhance the security of the NATO alliance. NATO chief tells world leaders Trump is right about Greenland. Trump has said that American ownership of Greenland is essential to providing security. Denmark, which controls the island, does not want to part with it, leading to an escalating war of words and threats to economic consequences. We discussed last week how they were different countries were sending troops. Germany, France, I believe Italy, Spain, maybe UK. I believe right now, after last count, they were up to about 37 guys that were there. Big deal. Rutte spoke with a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on Wednesday. Trump spoke to a group later on Wednesday. When it comes to the Arctic, I think President Trump is right, Rutte said, and posted a video to X. Other leaders of NATO are right. We need to defend the Arctic. We know that sea lanes are opening up. We know that China and Russia are increasingly active in the Arctic, he said. There are 8 countries bordering the Arctic, 7 members of NATO, he said, listing Finland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, Canada, and the United States. The only nation with an Arctic border outside of NATO is Russia. And I would argue that there's a 9th country, which is China, which is increasingly active in the Arctic region. President Trump and other leaders are right. We have to do more there, he continued. We have to protect the Arctic against Russian and Chinese influence. Now, on Monday, I promised that I would get some Senator Kennedy in here. And actually, here's Senator Kennedy talking about Greenland.
To invade Greenland and attack its sovereignty, a fellow NATO country, would be weapons-grade stupid. President Trump is not weapons-grade stupid, nor is Marco Rubio. That's all I'm going to say on Greenland, but there will be more to happen with respect to Greenland.
Weapons grade stupid. And I kind of got to agree. I mean, this whole Greenland thing, it's getting out of control. But so Donald Trump now said he's not going to take it by force. And today it almost seemed like he was trying to play the pity United States angle.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are.
He kind of rambles on a little bit about ships, but he literally told everyone there that if it were not for the United States, everyone there would be speaking German and a few would be speaking Japanese. So I don't know what's going on with this. I'm kind of hoping this goes away. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that this just, we'll see. But with that, let's see if I can find it. We did a Kennedy. I've got another Kennedy. But right now, let us do our weekly 911 call. If I can find it.
911, what's your emergency? Yeah, my wife got attacked by a warthog real bad, and I need someone to come up with an ambulance and pick her up. Okay, sir. Can you give me your address? Yeah, we're at 1825 Eucalyptus Drive. Okay, could you spell that for me, sir? I'm going to drag her on over to Oak Street, and you can pick her up there.
Oh, my gosh.
You're going to drag her over to Oak Street, huh? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Attacked by warthog, though. Attacked by warthog.
Well, that was funny even at that point. But then when he said he was going to drag her, oh, my goodness. Nobody ever thought of writing that one for a joke.
Well, I mean, can you spell eucalyptus? Because I sure couldn't. So
no,
that's like Lafayette, one block over. I'll just drag her over to Pearl. It's all right. I can spell that one. Oh, geez. So Donald Trump decided he wanted to tease French President Macron on his fantabulous glasses today.
Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened? But I watched him sort of be tough.
Well, we jumped from the frying pan back into normalcy.
Right. Well, I'm really struggling to get out of the frying pan here. I figure we do a few funny things, but I'm really struggling there. I do have a 50-second Kennedyism. So, Bill and Tanya, I hope you're still here.
Dreamweaver, man. Put down the ball. I wouldn't put that person in charge of a ham sandwich. She's mad as a bag of cats. I can't use TikTok. I had it on my iPad, and they made me take it off. Bunch of nice. Some people are just going to have to settle for a ham and egg sandwich without the ham. He's like a stray dog. If you feed him once, you can't get rid of him, man. Governor, I love you, but what planet did you just parachute in from? The jackassery has to stop. Fill out a hurt feelings report. Buy a comfort rock. Actually, China will make a deal. Its economy is on a journey to the ocean floor.
Oh, gotta love him. Gotta love him. All right. Well, we've got we're 47 minutes into this. I want to cover the Clintons real quick, and also before we go, Donald Trump's 1 year and 1 day is today. Got a little bit of a tribute there as well. But this whole Clinton thing. So Jeffrey Epstein, they subpoenaed Bill Clinton to show up. He did not. They subpoenaed Hillary Clinton to show up. She did not. The couple escalated their battle with Representative James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, who said he would move to hold them in contempt of Congress. Bill and Hillary Clinton refused on Tuesday to testify in the House's Jeffrey Epstein investigation, escalating a months-long battle with its Republican leader, Representative James Comer of Kentucky, who quickly said he would take steps to hold them in contempt of Congress.
Well, here we are again. I don't think it's any secret. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton joined her husband in defying a bipartisan lawful congressional subpoena to show up today. I think what's most disappointing to the Oversight Committee is the fact that we have, in good faith, negotiated with the Clintons' attorneys for 5 months. Throughout the past 5 months, they've implied to us they were trying to make a date work. In fact, the last date we had, they notified us 3 days beforehand, said that they would love to come, but they have a funeral to attend. And we have bent over backwards to try to schedule the Clinton. No, I'm still talking. I'm still talking. Go ahead. Hey, get.
I love that he wouldn't take questions. I'm still talking. Let's see here. I still got more videos on it.
House Republicans plan to vote next week to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to testify in their Jeffrey Epstein investigation. The Clintons both skipped their scheduled subpoenas. Neither Clinton is accused of any wrongdoing in connection to the Epstein case. And in a letter, they argue the subpoenas were legally invalid.
Just arrest them. And I don't know if you remember before Donald Trump's first term, when he was in a debate with Hillary Clinton, and she said, well, it's just great that you don't have a person like you is not in power. And Donald Trump said, because you'd be in jail. And that was the biggest mic drop I think I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, hopefully lock them up, man. This is going to be a little ridiculous.
Today, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform meets to advance 2 resolutions recommending that the House of Representatives find former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with duly issued subpoenas. The committee does not take this action lightly, but subpoenas are not mere suggestions. They carry the force of law and require compliance. Former President Clinton.
So what do you think about all this? This is getting to be a little crazy.
Well, it'll be much ado about nothing here soon. Nobody is ever held accountable in D.C.
Unfortunately.
And of all people, the Clintons, hopefully, well, I'll be nice.
Are you out of the frying pan now?
If you're related to this, if you're related to this case in any way, maybe you should go back and listen to what I suggested. The church, not just suggested, but about security. All I'm going to say, Ronnie, is that people that have gotten in the way of the Clintons in the past
have ended up dead.
Yeah. And for the censors, they are unalived. Oh, but we already said dead. So, yeah, they ended up dead.
Sorry.
No,
we also played earlier where he said a bunch of Nazis.
And the comfort rock one, too.
I love that comfort rock. I need a comfort rock for my desk, so I'll go out in the driveway and find one.
Yeah, we got lots of rocks around.
Right. But we'll cover more of that when we have more information. But yeah, just if you are anywhere near the Clintons case, or anybody who's any kind of power, please watch your back. Please don't end up suicided with 3 shots to the back of your head, please.
Well, before you go any farther, I got things out of whack by going so long. We have a sponsor.
We do. I keep forgetting. Oh my goodness me. We have a sponsor, and I still don't have a good enough picture. Sergeant D's Coffee Beans. Good stuff. SergeantD's.com, I believe. I'll have to double check. The winter market here in Columbus, I believe there is one a week from this Saturday. He will be there. He is also a lot out at Warehouse 13 on 46, State Road 11. Before you get to the Circle K, it's on the right-hand side, Warehouse 13. He has a trailer set up there. Sergeant D's Coffee Beans. And I swear, Darren, I will get us a commercial. I swear, maybe this weekend. If I don't have anything going on, I will sit down and record a commercial. I will get you a commercial. But thank you very much to Sergeant D's. Good stuff.
And now, you don't know this probably yet, but those 4 boxes that were on the porch earlier today, one of them, it is a grinder. So we'll be into the Sergeant D's here in the morning, I'm sure.
Man, that was fast because Mom just ordered that, didn't she? Like yesterday?
I think yesterday.
Wow. That was most Ricky take. But all right, so today marks 1 year and 1 day of the Donald Trump presidency as term 47. This came from the White House on their TikTok today. It was pretty nice.
Who's that guy? That's Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay.
This is Biden right here.
Wait a second. The profile of Biden.
So he's the worst president in the history of our country, and Barack Hussein Obama is top 5. I got to look at this myself. Wow. What a view.
Affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find inoffensive or retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with it. Absolutely.
Now, keep in mind that came directly from the White House. So whoever's in charge of their White House TikToks, man, bravo.
We give them kudos all the time.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh, my goodness. I just wanted to share this real quick. This came out today. We had discussed Iran several times, and Iran, look at what's coming at you.
An attack submarine.
There's a submarine in there too. Yep, there's a submarine down there too. Look at that fleet. Man. Look at that.
Holy
all those
cow.
ships. You think the Ayatollah holds a candle?
Ayatollah, can't you see?
Aircraft carrier.
You
There's an
can't
aircraft
bring no
carrier,
smoke on me.
There's a DDG, an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. There's another one in the background. Aircraft carrier, fighter aircraft. My goodness. We will definitely keep eyes on this, and we will let you know. I just saw that and had to share. You know me.
Yeah, well, that's well, no, I can't say that. Somebody would think that would be inappropriate for a pastor to say, and they'd probably be right. So
Right.
I'll just keep that one to myself. I did want to, I looked and found the article about the far left agitator who organized the Minnesota church storming.
All right.
I'm not going to say his name, who was one of the organizers of the storming of the Minnesota church to protest ICE on Sunday, raked in. Well, let's go to the 2024 tax filings for the organization that is called, let's see. I scrolled down too fast. Wayfinder Foundation. Wayfinder Foundation. He is the CEO of a cannabis company called Dope Roots. In the 2024 tax filing for not his company, but the Wayfinders company, they provided grants worth $158,811. Armstrong, well, this is saying it's a she, and the guy I was talking about was a he. But anyway, got a salary of $215,726 plus an additional $40,548 in health benefits, benefit plan contribution, and deferred compensation.
Oh, wow.
So whether it was male or female, it was one of the organizers of the storming of the church. And I guess that first name probably would be a female. It's not a normal first name. Go figure, right?
Right.
So the organization gives out $150,000 in grants while at the same time paying a protester $200,000 a year.
I'm about over that. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, Grady Judd in his video that I forgot to download said enough's enough. And when are we going to stop saying enough is enough and start putting into action enough is enough?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, you and I don't find those kind of gigs anywhere. We can go start trouble and get paid $200,000 a year. We can't even find a gig that is legitimate and pays $200,000 a year.
Exactly. You know, I guess we need to start searching Craigslist. I've heard a lot of the scumbags search Craigslist, and they have all these George Soros ads on Craigslist. So maybe we need to do that because I mean I could use some money. So
what'd you do at work today? Well, I went to a church and rioted and scared little kids. I made Don Lemon. I helped make Don Lemon a lot of money because he gets paid by the click.
I chant no ice, Renee Good or something.
Yeah. It was interesting. I didn't comment on it during the pastor's pulpit, but Trump brought out about the wife and the way that she reacted. He said she didn't react like her heart was hurt. She reacted like a paid protester would react.
Go figure. Go figure. Go figure.
Yeah, I think Bill and Tanya liked that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I think they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until the action is the good guy with a gun finally does something. I don't want to see anybody lose their life, but my goodness, something's got to change here. Something's got to happen. So I'm just sitting here tracking military flights right now. Yeah, she did act paid. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's interesting that the last day or so, all the attention's been on something else. And that is really good for the United States military. If you look at news headlines, the Iran attack has gotten very, very quiet. And I have a feeling it's going to get really loud really soon. And that would have been a good lead up to your video. It's getting ready to get loud, and here's why. Got anything else?
Well, actually, just popped up. A woman who said she was violently attacked by her boyfriend last year told a London court that her friend Barron Trump unexpectedly saved her life as she managed to call him during the assault. United Kingdom media outlet Metro reported Wednesday. After answering the FaceTime call and witnessing the alleged assault, the 19-year-old son of President Donald Trump reportedly contacted emergency operators, prompting UK police to respond to the scene January 18th, 2025, shortly after 2 a.m. local time. The woman, who cannot be named, reportedly claimed that her former Russian partner, 22-year-old Mativ Romanestev of London, was jealous over her friendship with Trump. She added that she was raped on the day she called Trump, and allegedly that her ex-boyfriend, who first became violent 6 months into a relationship, had a history of assaulting her, including strangling. The Metro said, citing hearings at Snaresbrook Crown Court. According to body cam footage the day of the alleged attack, Trump was overheard on the phone telling officials, "I just saw a ceiling and could hear screaming. I could see a guy's head on the phone." And then the camera turns to her crying and getting hit. Way to go, Barron Trump. Man, I like that guy. 19 years old.
I seen a headline on that earlier. And
really?
I did.
Wow. Good stuff right there. Russian ship attempts to intimidate the U.S. Navy. Good luck there, pal.
I'm not sure why this didn't show up sooner, but Trump says framework of future deal on Greenland reached after NATO talks as tariffs put on hold. The president asserted that if the deal is finalized, it will be a great one for the United States of America.
Wow.
He said he will not impose tariffs that were set to take effect February the 1st, citing a framework of a future deal with NATO involving Greenland. And you know, there's several things that could happen with that, Ronnie, that, you know, maybe they don't sell us Greenland, but they give us 100% access to do, you know, the art of making a deal.
Micah was on here Monday, and he already said we have the ability to put bases there. You know, the whole reason to own the whole place, it seems to be a little ridiculous because we've got the access and the options to put bases there. It seems to me like there's something else. And Donald Trump even mentioned that in Davos today, that the whole thing about the rare earth, there's no such thing as rare earth minerals. It's just earth minerals. And he said those could be found anywhere. So it's not about mining it and everything. He even said if we mined it, we'd still have to send it to China to be processed. So, you know, that's not really any bonus for us, I guess. But that video there was the American ship sailing next to the Russian.
On Friday, I will be covering the Indiana University National Championship victory. The reason I wasn't here with you on Monday, their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, him and his Christian faith and how he reacts due to his Christian faith. So that's going to be covered. We'll get into more current events than we did tonight. And unless something changes between now and then, you can count on us being here Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern for our Monday, Wednesday, and either Friday or Saturday. Friday or Saturday this week, the plan is for Friday. sometimes it's kind of fun to be quiet and watch you in the control center.
I'm just looking around.
Yeah. Well, folks, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for bearing with. I had to get that riot in the church speech out. I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I didn't address that. And so I went ahead and addressed it for like 40 minutes. So.
Hey, it worked though. It was great. Frying pan jumped out. We got back into the game. No problem. I did change our closing video. So the closing video is 31 seconds of Donald Trump talking about the new Golden Dome that's going to be installed in the United States.
All right. So until we see you guys again on Friday, unless something breaks between now and then, thank you. We love you. Thank you for your support. Check out Sergeant D's coffee and go out and do the right thing.
We're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.